Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News on 3FM. My name is Beatrice Adu. The news is also live on Kesme 107.1 FM and across the world at 3news.com. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Electoral Commission insists voters' register is credible, despite calls to allow a forensic audit of the voters' register, with only 86 days remaining until the general election. Also coming up on the program, Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagbin expresses concern over what he calls inexperienced people being given high leadership positions to the detriment of Ghana's development. And much later, we'll take you to the Western region where beneficiaries of Apiate Phase 3 redevelopment staged protest over inability of authorities to evacuate occupants of buildings on their plots. My name is Beatrice Adu. Thank you very much for joining us. Now, this afternoon, the Electoral Commission has asked the media to name and shame persons who make insightful statements that can cause mayhem as the country gears up for this year's elections. Deputy EC Commissioner in charge of Corporate Affairs, Dr. Bosman Asare, says that the rampant spread of misinformation and malinformation, as well as the use of intemperate language by some political actors, have the tendency to disrupt the peaceful conduct of the polls. He contends that the media must interrogate politicians on their manifestos and policies rather than politicizing all forms of information they receive.
To make sure that people get information, what is happening on the political campaigns. But when people can make informed decisions, it encourages the process to be very, very peaceful. For the media to do this effectively, we want to ensure that we are always embedding journalists with the various political campaigns. And once that can be done properly, people will understand the political process. So that when they are voting, they also vote based on having some solid information, which will help them in making decisions. And what I'm also saying is that because the media, you are reporting on the campaigns, there may be some individuals who are members of political parties. Some of the comments they make, they don't augur well for the smooth running of our society. It is the job of the media to name and shame these ones who have an objective of saying things to undermine. Because as I said, in 1994, it was some media organizations in Rwanda who were saying, oh, certain things were happening, and suddenly people took up arms and they decided to kill others. So if you're a media organization, you are covering the campaigns, once some people are making statements that they want to incite others, let's make sure that we bring them to order.
You heard that, Dr. Bosman Asare. His Deputy EC Commissioner in charge of Corporate Affairs, a man, Christian Yale, is on this beat for us. He joins us live on the phone. Chris, what else did Dr. Bosman Asare say?
Indeed, he has been raising concerns about media pluralism and the fact that in this day and age, a lot of politicians are even owning media houses, and so it makes the dissemination of information very problematic sometimes when media owners tend to channel or churn out information that are politically biased. But he mentions that in all of this, to ensure that there is a smooth run of the elections, the media must play a critical role in ensuring that their reportage, are very, neutral as much as possible to ensure that there is tranquility. He mentioned the fact that if there are going to be any forms of interviews, for instance, with politicians, those interviews must be issue-based, must be manifesto-based, must be policy-based, so that it doesn't turn out to be like you are just inviting people to come and sit on your platform to just say anything. And also, he mentioned the fact that there should be constant engagement with Electoral Commission officials so that there will be education. He mentions, for instance, the fact that every year when elections are conducted, it turns out to be that the ballot sheet or the ballot papers are ranked third, which means that when you sort out the ballot papers, almost every election year, there are increasing numbers of ballot papers, which are very costly as a matter of fact, and also does not augur well, which means that there should be more education of the citizenry to better understand the ramifications of they not voting right and spoiling ballots as a result. And so he is urging the media to endeavor to ensure that they adopt measures to address misinformation, largely disinformation and malinformation, Beatrice.
A question, beyond this, I know that the Deputy Commissioner also spoke about the voter register. Am I right?
Exactly. And, there has been a raging concern, especially by the National Democratic Congress. Just this morning and yesterday, there were a number of civil society organizations who are demanding forensic audit into the 2024 voter register after concerns or issues that were identified during the voter exhibition. For instance, we know between yesterday and today, the EC has still been defending and talking tough the fact that the 2024 voter register is robust and credible. Today, here again, the Deputy Commissioner in charge of corporate affairs, Dr. Bosman Katari, has maintained and defended the voter register, saying that it remains credible and it remains robust, rubbishing all claims and all allegations that there have been forms of illegal voter transfer, especially the 38 cases that were cited somewhere in the northern region, talking about Tagnarigu and Tamale South to Pusiga. And also the EC is making the point that it is not true that there have been over 15,000 illegal voter transfers in other parts of the country after it conducted, investigations into all the claims that the National Democratic Congress has raised. And so yet again, we have the Electoral Commission defend the voter register and saying that there is no cause for concern, there is no reason for anyone to be worried.
Transparent, credible, peaceful, and inclusive. The register to be used for the election is also credible and robust. Thank you very, very much for your attention.
And you heard the Deputy Commissioner at the Electoral Commission, Dr. Bosman Asare, earlier. You heard our reporter, Christian Yali, bringing us an update of that event by the Electoral Commission. And we stay on the elections because the Association of Assembly Members, Ghana, has given the Electoral Commission a 2-week ultimatum to conduct a forensic audit of the electoral register to restore confidence among electorate. You just heard the EC official there saying there's no need for that because it is robust. Well, the group is also demanding the immediate termination of the appointment of Dr. Peter Apiahene and Haja Salima Ahmed Tijani of the Electoral Commission, who they claim have strong ties with the governing NPP. Listen to the convener of the group, Abdul Razak, speaking to us earlier.
5 constituencies in Ghana. It means we are talking about 550,000 people who are being transferred to places they don't know anything about. This calls for the Electoral Commission to rethink and then do the forensic audits of the voter register. So this is very important, and we believe that hirelings of the NPP in Electoral Commission are the ones behind all these things. Right. So that is why we are calling for the termination of their appointment and the Electoral Commission to equally do a forensic audit of its voters register. Now we know exhibitions are done normally to take care of minor issues such as spelling or wrong spellings of names, age, and all manner of things. But in terms of exhibition, we have never as a country come across this kind of exhibition where people go to centers to check their names only for them to find their names in other constituencies. It's not done that way. So
and you had Ibrahim Abdul Razak. He's convener of a group calling itself the Association of Assembly Members Ghana. Now, it's some 9 minutes past the hour of 12. This is still the Midday News on Shri FM 92.7. Let's bring you this issue. The government has come under intense pressure to ban mining of all forms after the Ghana Water Company Limited issued an alert on the polluted Pra River. The joint health sector unions, the University Teachers Association of Ghana and leadership, organized labor and some religious and civil society organizations have backed calls for the government to take action to tackle the menace. For the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, Samuel Abu, it would be too harsh to declare a state of emergency over the illicit small-scale mining activities, popularly called galamsey. The government on Wednesday tasked the regional security councils to enforce all mining laws. Samuel Abu is, let's listen to him, what he said exactly.
And I want, on behalf of the President and his government, make a firm commitment to the Ghanaian people that the government is absolutely committed to the fight against illegal small-scale mining. And that commitment is unshakable. And we will continue with the efforts we are making and increase some of them when the need arises, and the situation will be reviewed periodically and regularly. And if there's a need to bring in additional measures, we will do so.
You heard Samuel Abu, he's the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources. Well, we hit the street to pick the views of members of the public on what they make of calls to temporarily ban, for that temporary ban on all forms of small-scale mining while a permanent solution is sought. First, listen to some views from residents of Accra.
I would like them to just put a ban to it, and then also, if probably they can just even issue something like shoot to kill to the army. If they see you at the site, if they just shoot you and kill you. Because I have a couple of friends over there, and although they are making money, but I just told them that, Charlie, this thing they do there is no say the thing we do, they spoil the forest and other things, but they said they are getting money from it.
You know, those who are doing it, they are not seeing the consequences. They are not having the vision to see ahead of time. They don't have the foresight, and so they don't even care. How much are they getting? And what is the impact that will affect their generation 20 years from now or 10 years from now? And so with us, we don't need to be talking plenty. We just have to enforce the rules. That's all.
Something that needs to be bound. It's destroying our water bodies and also our land, because that now, even the Ghana Water Company or something like they said, central region, they are not going to have the frequent flow of water due to the illegal mining.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fair that they put a ban on it or a stop on illegal and small-scale mining. Our water bodies, I mean, not the best. It's going to affect the generations ahead.
There shouldn't be a complete ban, because maybe they have issued certificates to people who are mining.
And you heard some views from the streets of Accra. Per Section 82(1) of the Minerals and Mining Act 2006, Act 703, quote, a person shall not engage in or undertake a small-scale mining operation for a mineral unless there is a license granted by the minister responsible for mines, unquote. Now, civil society organizations in Northern Region have intensified calls for a total ban of illegal mining activities in Ghana. The CSOs say that the continuous devastation of water bodies and the environment caused by illegal mining is an indication that the government has failed in the fight against illegal mining. And we'll return to the story and bring you some more. But ahead of that, the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, has expressed concern over what he calls inexperienced people being given high leadership positions to the detriment of Ghana's development. The comment follows the wide condemnation of a statement by Agric Minister Brian Champong that the MPP will not hand over power to the NDC after the December polls. Mr. Bagbin, in an exclusive interview with us, said that comments like that come from inexperienced people whose actions are working against Ghana's development.
Brian Achampong is scarcely in Parliament. You see, that is another thing that we have to do. You see, political leadership is a different ball game. You just don't trust untried and untested hands straight from birth into leadership position.
How do you mean?
They have to be groomed. They have to be tutored. They have to be mentored. They have to grow to it. They must have hands-on experience. And so the system we are running is a system that is damaging the growth of this country.
Brian doesn't have the experience.
Where? In politics? Zero. He just elected as a member of parliament and is made a cabinet minister. He has no knowledge about the public sector, about governance, about politics, and he is now going to lead the whole sector. He has never handled such power before, and therefore They think that they are the alpha and the omega.
So you think that's what's influencing how he's behaving?
Not only him, a number of our people in politics now. You know, as they grow, they will learn that what they did were wrong. And they were really undermining their own authority and relevance.
Won't it be too late?
Very late. And that's one of the causes of our underdevelopment.
And you heard that the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin. Let's return to that story about illegal mining and some CSOs calling for action now. We're joined by Abdul Razak Al Hassan. He's the Communications Director of the Ghana National Association of Small-Scale Miners. Good afternoon to you, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
What does the Ghana National Association of Small-Scale Miners make of calls for the government to temporarily ban all forms of small-scale mining now?
Thank you for having me, and good afternoon to your listeners. We, as Ghana National Small-Scale Miners Association, will not heed to the call of a temporal ban or permanent ban. The reason being that this is an industry whereby people have to understand, because we don't have anything called illegal small-scale mining. We only have small-scale mining, and then we have large-scale mining, and then we have illegal mining. So if we are talking of banning illegal mining, it shouldn't be even a ban, something which is illegal. We don't even call it a ban. It means that we have to find a way and take those people out.
So,
Mr. It is an illegality which nobody will condone, which we as an association, we are having sleepless night, day and time with these illegal miners.
Indeed.
So putting a ban on small-scale mining shouldn't be the solution for now. But the solution is how do we stop illegal activities in the country?
So
we should all deal with it.
Yes, we'll go into what you propose the government could do to ensure that we're able to deal with the problem. But the concern here, which is why people are proposing a ban on all sort of mining, particularly small-scale mining, is because people who have the license are going beyond their mandated rights, as it were, or what they are supposed to do and doing other illegal stuff. So let's ban all of you until we've cleared the system, so we know the right thing is being done moving forward.
My sister, I think it's not true. With what they call that where small-scale miners are going beyond boundaries and what. Fine, we may have recalcitrant ones, yes, which we need to deal with. We cannot say that all the small-scale miners are doing the right thing. In as much as we cannot say that, is also look at the other side of the whole coin. What is the problem? The problem is our water bodies and then the forest reserves, which is creating this whole havoc, whole problem. Now, there's no license which is being given to mine on river bodies. There's no license which is given to mine in forest reserves. Anybody who is mining in forest reserves, they are either large-scale companies or illegal miners.
So how do you... Whereby?
I said they don't give us licenses as small-scale miners to mine in forest reserves. And they don't give us licenses to mine on water bodies. So anybody who is perpetrating that illegality, he's an illegal person. And then moreover, let us all cast our mind back. As of 2017, there was a total ban on small-scale mining activities. While we, the legitimate small-scale miners, were sitting home, illegalities were still going on. So that time, those who are calling for this total ban, where were they? What solutions have they brought? Because as of 2018, whilst we were at home, people were doing illegalities, and government were bold enough to come and say that small-scale mining industry produced a whole lot of gold, about 40% of gold. Meanwhile, there was a ban on small-scale mining activities whereby we were all at home. And then the illegalities were still going on. Who were the people who were doing the job? So on the part of banning small-scale mining, whether temporary or permanent, it shouldn't be the solution. The solution is just in front of all of us, which we need to deal with it once and for all.
Once and for all. How do you propose we deal with it in about 40 seconds, sir?
My sister, dealing with it is a simple matter. Those people on river bodies, all of them are on the bank with communities which the communities are having community chiefs, community leaders, and those things. And these people are sitting on these river bodies, do this nonsense, then they come to these communities, sleep there, and some of these opinion leaders are even taking them money every week. So if we propose that, or we say that, okay, any community that will come and see these people on the river body, we will arrest or take on the chief and the community leadership there. Do you think that these people will be there? Why we should even give them a week? They will take all of them out. Who will be sitting there thinking that they should come and arrest them because of these illegalities that people are doing? So it's a community-based thing. And when it comes to the forest reserves, the minister or the government should revoke all licenses given to those people who are mining forest reserves. They should revoke everything and ask everybody to leave within a week or even two weeks.
We'll have to end it here. Thank you very much, Abdul Razak Al Hassan, Communications Director for the Ghana National Association of Small-Scale Miners. Thank you very much for speaking to us. Some 21 minutes past the hour of 12. You're still here on the Midday News on 3FM 92.7. When we come back, we'll tell you the justification Pius Hajide has for his comment earlier. Don't go away.
Everyone is running to Bills. Enjoy the peace of mind that comes with acquiring any of our loan facilities. For whoever you are and whatever you're doing, Bills has a product for you. No susu, no deposits. All you need is your Ghana card. Call 0302-200-390 or 0596-928-33 today and live a bill-free life. Bills Microcredit is licensed by the Bank of Ghana. Bills, financing your needs. Terms and conditions apply.
And you're still here on the Midday News on 3FM 92.7. Thank you for staying. Now, the New Patriotic Party parliamentary candidate for Sujaman in the Eastern region, Pius Hajide, has justified his promise to help constituents travel to the United States for the 2026 World Cup if he wins the election. Pius Hajide made this statement during a campaign event, touting his connections and experience in the sports sector as a pathway for Ghanaian youth to participate in international sporting events. Well, I spoke to him last night on Hot Edition. Listen.
It is coming out of a realization that as Member of Parliament, I have a duty to serve and to be both a good legislator and an agent of development, horizontal mobility, so that they can achieve on their dreams and their aspirations. And I have met many young people in my constituency who have told me they want to travel outside for one reason or the other. Some have said they want to go and study. Some say they want to go and work. And others have said to me that they want to go and support the national team when Ghana qualifies for the next World Cup. And in my engagement with the community, I made pledge that as a Member of Parliament, I shall ensure to facilitate their movement outside of the country. And I know that we were going to deploy a rightful, acceptable ways. And so I made pledge to my people that I will support them to achieve their dreams.
Mr. Hajide, by which means do you intend to support the constituents?
I just explained to you that people need to apply for their visas. They need assistance, even somehow to fill the forms and do the clerical works, administrative efforts that need to be put in. Some even need the resources to pay for their visa application.
Where are you going to get the money from?
Probably my salary. I'm going to earn salary, am I not?
MPs are not paid more than 30,000. I guess it's even less. How are you going to support a constituency filled with hundreds and thousands of people?
It's not everybody who wants to travel, Sister Beatrice. It's just a few young people who want to travel.
And as somebody who is aspiring to go to Parliament, you think that is your primary responsibility?
It's not a question of primary or secondary. It's my responsibility to assist people to achieve on their dreams.
And you heard the Pius Hajide. He's the NPP parliamentary candidate for the Sujaman constituency. Adam Senano is co-chair Citizens Movement Against Corruption. He joins us live on the line. Good afternoon to you, sir. Thank you for joining us.
And thank you for having me.
Mr. Senonu, you heard Pius Hajide there. In fact, if you or anybody had the chance to listen to Hot Edition last night, he went on to defend the fact that there's nothing wrong with the statement he made. And he's also a development agent. He's not just in Parliament to make laws. Now, the Australia visa scandal report has never been made public, but Pius was cleared by the president. Listening to him admit that he helped people and now what he's proposing, I'm just wondering what you make of all of these.
I am shocked that he has the effrontery to even justify that he was standing there saying he's going to fly people out of this country. What nonsense. What effrontery. Are we electing them to go to Parliament to facilitate people having tickets to fly out? Is that what is done in Parliament? Is that legislative work? What has that got to do with the development of his constituency? Come on. That does not show a sense of ethical leadership of any sort. We are expecting people who have the kind of ethical leadership where you know what is right, you do what is right, and you influence others to do same. He should have apologized to us. The effrontery to come and say, what? There are people who want to travel and he's going to facilitate it. Is that what this country needs? Is that the kind of leadership we want? Please. I'm shocked that he has the audacity to come and try and justify it. That has absolutely nothing to do with legislative work and nothing to do with constituency work, nothing to do with development. It's an attempt at vote buying, and he should be ashamed of himself.
Do you think at this stage, I mean, he's representing a political party and wanting to go to a constituency, probably the government should come in or it will be overstretching it?
I think we'll be overstretching it. I mean, I don't see many people going to attempt this. In fact, it's so out of place that it probably is a reflection of where he finds himself. Who would be on a political platform saying, I'll fly you out of this country, when we ought to be here developing our own country, and he thinks that that's the right thing to say? I don't think we should stretch it beyond him. He ought to apologize to his constituents for embarrassing them and all of us.
But he actually...
There's no sense of ethical leadership in what he's saying.
He said his constituents are happy. Some have called him to say that they are happy about what he said. So then there would be no need to apologize.
It is not whether his constituents say they're happy about what he's saying. What does that add to the perspective on developing this country? How does that feed into what he's supposed to be asking them to do? I mean, the point is this. What is the incentive? What is the incentive? In a political season, the electoral campaign is about a contest of ideas. What are the new strategies you are bringing on board to develop the local area, or much more important, in terms of legislative ideas, if it is a member of parliament? So what is the incentive in that space to be talking about flying people out of this country if it is not an attempt at vote buying? And to that extent, under our laws, there's a criminal intent there. So he should be cautious.
You think the police must come in with what he said?
Well, unfortunately, there's not been any evidence in terms of actually buying tickets or flying people out, so you cannot take that into court and get a ruling on it. However, he should be aware that what he's doing is, on one hand, attempting to vote by influencing them. At the same time, those who are saying, they'll go along, it's about, let's say, yes, we'll vote for you because you're going to fly us out. What has that got to do with developing this country or legislative work?
Before you go, let me get your quick thought on this illegal mining fight and the latest response from even the Lands Ministry that we should stop politicizing this, and the instruction for regional security councils to enforce what is already our laws and what is already being done, and the refusal to call a state of emergency from the Lands Ministry.
I don't know why anybody wants to say this is partisan. I mean, Ghanaians are aggrieved. We've been long in getting to this point where we are upset about what is going on. But the facts on the ground, the evidence is clear that where we are, it's a crisis point. If they want to pretend that we are not in a crisis situation, that's up to them. But for the rest of us, it's a crisis that demands emergency actions, including what all organized labor and other groups are saying. If they don't understand the magnitude of the challenge where we are, then they cannot call themselves our leaders. They can't do the task. They should resign and allow us to find people who bring the change, and let's show that our lives are safe. Health is guaranteed. You don't have, this has affected the cocoa industry, it's affecting infrastructure, it's affecting health. It's a major disaster. And I don't see anything partisan about it. The groups that are calling, the civil society, the religious groups, the trade union, the UTAG, what have you, are those partisan groups? It is neither here nor there. They should get to work, or if they cannot perform and turn the situation around and arrest those who are contaminating our waters and continuing with this galamsey thing, they should just resign. Say we can't do the job, and let citizens take over and let's see what we can do about it.
Thank you very much, Adam Senanu. And you heard that Adam Senanu, he is a co-chair Citizens Movement Against Corruption. Thank you so much for speaking to us. And before we go, beneficiaries of the Apiati Phase 3 redevelopment have staged a protest against the authorities' inaction, despite being given a deadline of August 31 to evacuate the occupants of the buildings on their plot. It's been 2 weeks and they are demanding action to address their unresolved issues. We'll bring you more of that in our subsequent bulletins. And that's it for the news here. My name is Beatrice Adu. Thank you very much for joining us today. Log on to 3news.com for more news. Coming up shortly is Business Daily with Manu Afful.
Hello, good afternoon and welcome to Business Daily on 3FM 92.7. Coming up, GOIL CEO calls for legislation to ban bitumen imports.
Every effort must be made to prevent the influx of bitumen to the country through unapproved routes, thereby denying the country of the much needed revenue.
Plus, unlicensed cybersecurity service providers and establishments to face stiffer sanctions, including criminal prosecution soon. We'll hear from the Cybersecurity Authority.
The authority is committed to ensuring that all default institutions and individuals face the appropriate sanctions, which includes administrative penalties, criminal prosecution where applicable.
My name is Manu. Afful will bring you details of our headlines and many other stories shortly. Now let's begin. CEO of GOIL Company Limited, Kwame Osei-Prempeh, has urged the government to introduce legislation banning the importation of bitumen, a key material in the construction industry. Bitumen is largely imported due to a lack of local production. Speaking at the commissioning of the Africa Bitumen Terminal, a joint venture between GOIL and Côte d'Ivoire's Société Multinationale des Bitumens, Osei-Prempeh emphasized that the move would help the government maximize revenues from local production and reduce dependency on imports.
For the country to derive maximum benefit from projects such as this one, we humbly request that a policy that requires local contractors to source their bitumen products locally be put in place and enforced. Therefore, the practice where some contractors are given tax waivers to import bitumen should be discouraged. Ghana stands to gain if measures are put in place to prevent low quality grades of bitumen being imported to the country. Mr. President, every effort must be made to prevent the influx of bitumen to the country through unapproved routes, thereby denying the country of the much needed revenue.
That was CEO of GOIL Company Limited, Kwame Osei-Prempeh. Meanwhile, the Minister of State at the Energy Ministry, Herbert Krapa, underscored the need to ensure that the plant is environmentally friendly and its operations in order to help combat global warming. The awards aim to recognize excellence and promote high standards across various sectors of Ghana's industrial landscape.
Right before our own eyes, all the signs of a fast-warming globe, and we know we can't wait any longer to take decisive action. This plant must be a zero carbon emission model for others to follow. It must contribute directly to our efforts of reaching net zero in the next few years. And it must ensure energy efficiency at all levels. Explore renewable energy sources for the running of this plant. Run your trucks on compressed natural gas and develop carbon sinks for hard-to-abate areas. And while I commend you for having the highest bitumen standard certification, I also implore you to look more within than without. Your internal ethical standards is what will make the real difference. Look to those and stick to them.
You heard the voice of Minister of State at the Energy Ministry, Herbert Kwapa. Away from that, unlicensed cybersecurity service providers and establishments are to face stiffer sanctions, including criminal prosecution soon. This is according to the Cybersecurity Authority, which is intensifying efforts to regulate the industry and ensure compliance with the country's cybersecurity laws. Head of Computer Emergency Response Team, Stephen Kujo Seshi, made this known at a ceremony to present certificates and accreditation to the second batch of cybersecurity service providers, establishments, and professionals in Accra.
Certificates of accreditation bestow on us a responsibility not to make any false representation in the provision of the services we have been licensed and accredited to provide. Licensees must observe utmost good faith towards clients while complying with the Act and all applicable laws, including confidentiality and data protection obligations. Ladies and gentlemen, the authority has so far registered 252 service providers, 65 establishments, and 1,451 professionals. Whilst many of these are at various stages of applying for license and accreditation, we wish to reiterate that registering for a license or accreditation is only the first step in the application process. Registrants must therefore ensure that they meet all the requirements and complete application forms for licenses and accreditation. I hereby take this opportunity to once again caution all CSPs, CEs and CPs who are providing cybersecurity services without a license or performing cybersecurity-related professional functions without accreditation granted by the authority that they are in breach of Sections 49 and 57 of Act 1038, and that the authority is committed to ensuring that all default institutions and individuals face the appropriate sanctions, which includes administrative penalties, criminal prosecution where applicable.
That was Head of Computer Emergency Response Team at the Cybersecurity Authority, Stephen Kujo Seshi there. Now, marketers have also been urged to take the lead in promoting sustainable practices through their activities, encouraging them to craft messages that not only raise awareness, but also inspire organizational change. Chief Executive of SUCA, Prince Osisi Adain, stressed that marketers have a unique opportunity to influence consumer behavior and drive business transformation, making sustainability a core aspect of their strategies. He spoke to 3Business at the inaugural Chartered Institute of Marketing Sustainability Summit in Accra.
Marketers should also be worried and try to look at other modes that they can use to make sure that they don't contribute to so much emissions, contributing to climate change. And even when they have events, what kind of energy are they using? What kind of facility are they using? Is it the ones that has energy consumption parameters incorporated in them? They should be bold innovations. They need to do a bit of demarketing, where they need to make sure that they present their message such that it moves people away from products that are unsustainable to products that are very sustainable. And they need to make sure that they influence organizational changes. The last one will be they need to be able to develop products that connect with nature and society.
That was Chief Executive of SUKA, Prince Osisia Dan there. Before we go, our top stories. GOIL CEO calls for legislation to ban bitumen imports. Unlicensed cybersecurity service providers and establishments to face stiffer sanctions, including criminal prosecution soon. Well, that's it for Business Daily here on 3FM 92.7. For more stories, kindly check out our website. It's www.3news.com. My name is Manu. Afful, stay tuned. Urban Blend is up next with Black Rasta.